Well, hello, soon-to-be graduates, and welcome to ELFH 540. My name is Roger Buskill, and I'm going to be your facilitator for this Culminating Undergraduate experience. During this session, I'm going to review the website and a number of the different components. The most important ones especially. We'll be talking about the other assignments and such as the semester progresses. But I did want to give you a heads up because your application, contracts, those types of things are coming due here pretty soon. So let's go ahead and get started. This is obviously our website. One thing I want to note right away, we're looking at the announcement, the first one. What happens whenever I create an announcement, obviously it'll be here, but I always duplicate that as an email, and that email will be sent to you as soon as I save the announcement. But it is sent to your card mail. Well, recently IT has been having some issues with card mail forwarding that email to your private email address. So I got a couple of error messages, and I sent you an email to start using your card mail in lieu of your private email, because I want to make sure that you get these as emails also. So like I said, all announcements are duplicated as emails, and you'll get them on your iPhone, iPad, or check them whenever you get home or at work, whenever you check your email. So that's how the announcements are going to work, and there'll be announcements every week as we go through some of the assignments. Starting from the top then, syllabus, self-explanatory. One thing about the syllabus, obviously you need to read that, but in the syllabus, there's a section that contains due dates and the Hallmark assessment itself. But I've also got the due dates right here, the assignment due dates in this tab. All of these are files that are assignments, and it lists their points values. In other words, your application, which some of you have already turned in, and some I have actually approved, they're due prior to the start of class. Well, that's worth 5 points on your final grade. Your contract, which is the first thing that's going to be due, is worth 5 points, and that's going to be due on September 9th. So that's something that you're going to be working with right away. So that's why I've been starting this pretty early. About a month ago, I've had this website or your Blackboard site up and sending you some reminders and such, so that you can start pursuing where you're going to conduct your fieldwork experience. And then the rest of these, the resume, program competency self-assessment, those types of things, they're due at various times throughout the semester. And like I say, I will be explaining these as the semester progresses. Each one of these, like I say, is an assignment with a points value. Actually, not all of them have points values, but they are assignments. And they're all contained in one of two drop boxes, the portfolio drop box and the fieldwork drop box. So the application that you should be working on is actually located in the fieldwork drop box. So if you haven't had a chance to start on that yet, this is the file that you will download and fill out and then upload it back here to this assignment. So I want to look at that application once. There's been a few common mistakes being made. So let's look at this application. So this is your fieldwork application. One of the first things, it has Social Security number here. You don't have to put your Social Security number there. You can put your student ID number there, which is just fine. But something that you really need to understand right away is how many credit hours do I need to register for, because this is going to dictate how many fieldwork hours you will need on your fieldwork experience. So let's take a look at how that's going to be computed. Depending upon when you entered our program, if you entered it within the past 18 months or so, you'll probably need to register for 2 credit hours. the way you derive how many hours you need to spend on your fieldwork experience, you multiply that times 25. So you'll need to spend a minimum of 50 hours on your fieldwork experience. But what if you're entered into the program earlier than that? You might need to register for 5 credit hours. And what happens then, you still multiply that 5 times 25, and that would equal 125 hours minimum to spend on your fieldwork experience. So the only way to make sure of that is to contact advising, and they should have been doing a degree check for you anyway, and they would send you those results to tell you how many hours you would need. You can't have more than 6. If you're coming up with hours short, then you'll need to probably take another class of some type to get your hours. If you registered for 2, and let's say you come up an hour short, well, you could actually register for 3 credit hours. Of course, then that would mean you would be 75 hours then for your fieldwork experience. So there's some flexibility there, but there is a maximum that you can take. Obviously, the 6 credit hours would be 150 hours, and that's pretty good chunk of hours to spend outside your work on that type of project. So that's how the hours that you would need to put here, and that's going to dictate how many contact hours you need, minimum contact hours you need for your fieldwork experience. Some of these I have descriptions on each one of these entries. So in the area of curriculum analysis and design, that would be 312, 411. You would describe your deliverables here. Most of the times those would be your hats. And don't just say, I did a needs assessment. Have a couple of complete sentences that describes your deliverables in 312, 411 in curriculum analysis and design. And all of these follow suit the same way. So for instruction in intervention delivery, list a couple of classes there. You would describe those classes in a couple of sentences. Any instructor training that you've received, you would put that information here. If you've conducted training, this could be training at your work or training in a volunteer organization you might be involved with, you would list that here. Media production, any PowerPoints, voiceover presentations, videos, you would include those here. So all the rest of these kind of follow suit. One thing I do want to mention, going down to this right here, you completed a program competency and self-assessment when you took ELFH 300. So hopefully you still have that file because you're going to need to get some data from it. So what you'll need to do, you'll actually be finishing that, and I've actually got it called up here. So you've filled out all the pre-items, which was where you they evaluated your competency at those at the start of the program. Now you finish filling it out with the post values, and then there will be a comparison of those. So what you want to do is, in this Word table cell right here, it refers to the value in that spreadsheet at cell E258. So if we look at the very bottom of that spreadsheet at 258E, so there's E258, there will be a pre-score, a pre-value there of a compilation of everything that was in the goal 1 of analyzed performance. You transfer that number to this cell right here, and then you follow suit with the rest of these all the way to G268. I'm sorry, it finishes down here, G285, which is the overall post score. So let's find G285, in that Excel spreadsheet. So there we go to 285, go over to G. So there's G, 285. So the contents of this cell you'll need to transfer to this table cell. So all you're doing is relating the pre and post scores at each one of these goals, and then with an overall. So that's how you fill out this part of the program standard self-assessment. Anything that you would want to pursue as far as development-wise that you can put here. Here's where you want to start thinking about where you're going to do your fieldwork experience, your practicum. Things to consider. We prefer it to be outside your work, your normal work, because the large portion of the work is going to be outside your normal working hours. Obviously, you might need to make phone calls or set up meetings during your lunch, but you mustn't take away your work time to work on your fieldwork experience. We've had complaints by employers in the past that your employees aren't getting their work done because they're working on projects for class. So for that reason alone, just to keep it clean, you want to do it outside your normal work area. If you have trouble finding something and you work for a relatively large corporation, it is possible to work within your company, but it must be outside your normal work with a different boss in a completely different section. Let's say you work for a large corporation and there's 4 or 5 major components to the corporation. You need to go to one of those other components so that your direct report is not in your normal boss's chain. But it still doesn't make any difference. You still must work on your field work outside your normal work hours. So that's something that you need to start working on right away, is where you're going to conduct your fieldwork experience. And I will need to approve that, and you'll do that through the contract that you'll be working on. So let's go back to the website. Like I say, these are all assignments with points values, and like I say, their due dates are listed back here. So if we go to that was the portfolio. If we go to the fieldwork drop box, they're all contained here. So the original files are in these drop boxes, and what you would need to do is complete those, or you'll be working on those, such as your log sheet. You would definitely download that, and as you start, even as you're pursuing your a site to do your field work and you're making phone calls or maybe visiting people, you want to document those hours. So anything that you do for your field work starting now, you need to keep a log in that log sheet. And as you, so I'm going to take a quick look at this. So this log sheet has you'll need to put your date, description of the activities, and the hours. The important thing to remember here is the description of the activities. Saying worked on PowerPoint. Well, that's not a description, a detailed description. You need to give a 1 or 2 sentence description of what you did when you worked on that PowerPoint. I created slides that were, so you need to tell what you did. If it's a phone conversation, it's the gist of the conversation. And then be realistic in your hours. I know the magic pencil when I see it, so if you had a 5-hour conversation on the phone, well, that's probably not realistic. But a half hour, maybe even a 45-minute or an hour conversation might be appropriate. But and I wouldn't put, if you have a 20-minute conversation, you could list that as a half hour. It'd be just easier to compute that way. But you need to be realistic with your hours and give me a good description of the activity. And what this does then, if we come down to the very bottom, it's going to compute your hours. So if we listed 2 hours here, 3 hours here, it automatically computes that and actually gives you the credit hours earned. So that's how you use the activity log calculator. And I mention that now because you need to go ahead and start using that as you're pursuing your the site to do your field work. Okay, let's go back to the Blackboard site. Like I say, these are all of the different assignments that you'll have for the semester. This reflection paper, that is your hallmark assessment, and it is submitted through SafeAssign here by clicking View Complete. But that is also, you would also upload that to the actual hallmark assessment on LiveText. Last thing I want to mention are, I do have some supplemental files here. One thing that you want to watch right away, because it has a direct bearing on your fieldwork, is the relationship between your contract and your evaluation. Because when as you work on this contract with your site coordinator and myself, you'll need to list these as objectives that are measurable. And then, matter of fact, those objectives show up as the evaluation form on the midterm and final. So take a look at that video. And because it is a cold paper that you're going to write for your hallmark assessment, you might or might not have seen this video yet. It was produced by the faculty. It explains the cold learning cycle. And if you remember the document that you used in 300, the cold cycle questions, go ahead and review those. Because this cold cycle paper for your hallmark assessment, it's only 800 to 1,000 words. So it seems, oh boy, it's a short paper. Well, that's the hard part, because you need to be able to write with clarity and brevity and explain the your experiential learning in your field work in just 800 to 1,000 words. So that's actually the hard part. So you might go ahead and review the cold learning cycle for that reason only. So I think that's going to be all for now. Like I say, I'm going to be reviewing each one of these files prior to them coming due as an assignment. Like I say, go ahead and get this application turned into me. Please don't send me email attachments. I'll have 4 classes this fall, 25 students in each class probably, and each one of those having a dozen assignments. And if they were all sent to me as emails, you can imagine how quickly my inbox would fill up. Besides, emails are not repositories for files. That's why we have our Blackboard sites. So don't send me email attachments. Anything that you need to send me, there's an assignment for. As a matter of fact, I have unlimited attempts on each one of the assignments in the portfolio and fieldwork Dropbox, so that you can upload multiple attempts. And you will, because I'll be giving you feedback on each one of your assignments, so that you can assure that you can, of course, you want to get a good grade, but you want to make it sure it's filled out correctly. So that's all I have for now. I'll be sending out some requests for your applications as reminders. So you will need to go ahead and work on that right away and get that uploaded to the fieldwork Dropbox as soon as possible. Because I'll start checking that. I'll probably wait till the weekend now, and I'll be starting to check the your grade book, because that's actually where it shows up, and I'll be able to take a look at it and give you feedback. Rarely does that application come through the first time without having to make some type of change. Whenever you write in any of these forms, write it in complete sentences with good grammar, because that helps explain don't write it in phrases, because if you write in complete sentences, you're more apt to explain it in the detail that I'm going to be after. Okay, so that's all for now. Go ahead and get me that application sent in so that I can approve it. We want to definitely get these approved before the start of the semester, and then I'll be starting to approve your sites for your fieldwork experience as I review your contracts. So that's all for now, and I'll be talking with you more online. Bye-bye.